Namo Loye Savaryantam, 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 Omkara Mindu Sanyukta Nityam Jayanti Yogina, Kamadam Mokshanam Che Omkara Namo, Manganam Bhagavanayo, Manganam Gokamayo, Manganam Kunkundari Ujendram Bhusumangaram Namasamaristara. Swanubhutya Jakasti Chit Swadhay Bhavaya Vibhav Niyusanidata. Namo Loye
Om Namo Loye Sarvatrikavarti Aryantanam. Om Namo Loye Sarvatrikavarti Siddhanam. Om Namo Loye Sarvatrikavarti Aryanam. Om Namo Loye Sarvatrikavarti Vajjanam. Om Namo Loye Sarvatrikavarti Savanam. Om Karam Bindu Sanyuktam Nityan Dhayanti Yoginam Kamadam Moksadam Cheva Om Karaya Namo Namo Nama Samaysaraya Swanubhutya Chakasate Chitsabhavaya Bhavaya Sarva Bhavantarachite Agnanatimirandhanam Gnana Anjana Salakaya Chaksurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Nama Tirthankaro Jagatana Jayavanta Varto Omkaranada Jinano Jayavanta Varto Jinana Samo Sarana Sau Jayavanta Varto Netirthachara Jagama Jayavanta Varto Namo Tirthanayakane Namo Omkaranadhane Omkara Sangarotene Namo Te Sri Kunda Kundane Aho Upakara Jinavarano Kunda no Dhvani Devyano Jina Kunda Dhvani Apya Aho Te Guru Kanano Aho Te Bhagavati Matano Dhruva Achalane Anupamagati Pamel Sarve Siddhane Vandi Kahu Sutta Kevali Bhasita Asamaya Prabhrata Are Ekasuddha Sada Arupi Jnana Darshanamaya Khare Kai Anyate Maru Jari Paramanu Matra Nathi Are Jamanetrate Majagnana Nathikaraka Nathi Vedaka Jnane Jakarmodaya Nirajara Bandate Majamokshane Om Namah Siddhaya Om Namah Siddhaya Om Sri Siddhartha Jai Jinendra. Today is August 3rd, 2016, Wednesday, and we are doing our weekly Swadhay on Samaysar. We have finished up to stanza 10. And now the new stanza starts, which is stanza 11. Gurudev Sri liked few of the stanzas extremely well in Samaysar. Stanza 6, stanza 11, stanza 13, stanza 38, stanza 72, and stanza 320. Plus there are so many more, but these are the ones that he really loved it. And so that's why what's happening, that we are going to work on the stanza 11. And remember, as we said last week or week before, that there are only 5 major principles one has to understand. Nishchaynai, Vyavarni, absolute point of view, conventional point of view. Upadan, Nimit, principal cause and instrumental cause. And last thing is Krambhatparya, modes occurring in the sequential order. So these are 5 principles, out of which 2 major principles are involved in this stanza. That's why it's very important. It just talks about Nishchaynai and Vyavarnai. It talks about conventional point of view and absolute point of view. So previously also, lots of time we spoke those words, conventional point of view, absolute point of view, but we defined somewhat. But now I think what we are going to do is we are going to take separate, complete, a couple of classes, maybe 3 classes, to really understand absolute point of view and conventional point of view. Once we understand those things fairly good, that means our base becomes that much strong. And that means any part of the scripture that we read, we know from what point, from what direction this point is coming from. It is extremely important not to go into the conventional point of view completely and drown in it, and not to fly with the absolute point of view and ignoring conventional point of view completely. They both are important in their own way. And so we have to understand how are they related, what they are made up of, what do I know about them, why do I have to know absolute point of view versus conventional point of view. So these are so many questions comes in our mind. And so it will be very prudent for us to go through those things in extreme detail. Remember, Kun Swami or Amritchandra Dev or Gurudev Kanji Swami never took separate subject on absolute point of view and conventional point of view. But as the stanzas are coming, they kept on throwing those kind of things, and it just tells us, hey, it's your responsibility to find it out what it is. And so those are that exercise we are going to execute right now. So we'll be going to the slides first. Okay, so we have to talk about Naya. Naya means partial point of view. Partial point of view, and that is called Naya, and those are the things that we are going to talk in great detail. What are those Naya? Number one, when Tirthankar Bhagwan gave us the scriptural knowledge, that scriptural knowledge was included, it was divided into two parts. One was language, bhasha, and second thing is interpretation, shaili. So, what happens in language? Let me take this guy out. Okay. So, written documents means, remember, omniscient Lord, Tirthankar Bhagwan, he obtained total complete knowledge of the self, and also at the same time total complete knowledge of the whole universe. Whole universe means all the 6 universal substances of the universe, not only 6 substances but their attributes and their past, present and future modes. So all those things omniscient Lord witnessed in his own complete, pure, omniscience knowledge. So when Lord experienced all the things, then he gives discourses. In the assembly of the Lord, it's called Samaysar, that Bhagwan, omniscient Lord, is giving discourses. But he doesn't give discourses just like us talking to each other. From the whole physical body of the omniscient Lord, Omkar, divine sound comes out. It will be a word like Om, that's it. This Omkar sound coming out, and the Lord's disciple, in case of Mahavir Swami, the Gautam Swami, and remaining total 11 first disciples. From the word Om alone, from Divya Dhvani, from the divine sound, Omkar sound, they realized the whole scripture. Om sound was a medium, and through that medium, they understood exactly what Bhagwan wanted to convey the message. So he did not speak just like us, and there is reason. We'll be coming to the reason later on, but right now, Omkar, divine sound coming out from the entire body of the Lord, omniscient Lord, and first disciple Gandhar Bhagwan, they accept that sound, and from that sound they create Dwadashang, means 12 canons. Remember we talked this one, or if not, then we'll just say that one right now. 12 canons are the huge things. How huge? The original 12 canons, the very first one is Acharang Sutra. Acharang Sutra has 18,000 chapters. It's called Pad. Each Pad means each chapter has 5.1 million sloks, 5.1 million verses. So 5.1 million verses times 18,000. That many verses are there even in Acharang Sutra only, first one. The second one has 36,000. Third one has 72,000. And it keeps on going, doubling up all the way up to 12 canons. So one can imagine how huge things are this. I simply know about Atma Siddhi by heart, or I know Bhaktamar by heart, and I think I know everything. I mean, that's not even a droplet in an ocean. When we think about this omniscient Lord's knowledge, and through that omniscience, Omkar, divine sound, when first disciples, Gandhar Bhagwan, they create the scripture, huge amount of scriptures. So those are written documents. Written documents, they have two parts, language and its interpretation. So original scriptures were in the Prakrit language. Like, for example, Samaysar is the Prakrit language. Then that got translated into Hindi and then to Gujarati, and now we are also having some English literature available. So language-wise, we have lots of scripture available at our disposal for our own understanding. But there's other part to the written document, it's called its interpretation. It's shaili, bhasha, and its shaili. So its interpretation is very important. That we have to have that knowledge of its interpretation, how to interpret them. So the written document can be interpreted by two ways. One is called comprehensive knowledge, called Praman Gnan, and we will come to that slide later on. But it's called Praman Gnan, comprehensive knowledge, total knowledge. And second is called partial point of view. It's called Naya. For example, who am I? I'm Kirit Gosalia. Whose husband am I? Whose son am I? Whose father am I? Whose uncle am I? Whose nephew am I? What is my profession? What is my religion? Where do I live? What is my origin? All those things to know comprehensively about me is called comprehensive knowledge, is called Praman Gnan. Now, one does not have to know all the angles that I'm having it. But it's important that you know everything about me, and now, whatever the situation is, you make one point principal and rest of the points secondary. Let's say we went to the party and there are lots of kids are there, and young kids are there, and young families are there, and small kids are there, and my grandkids are also there. your grandkids are there, your sons and daughters are there. So at that time, I'll be known as grandpa. So grandpa is made principal. And all rest of my identity, who am I, whose nephew, whose uncle, whose son, whose father, what's my profession, where I'm coming, all those things are made secondary. Only the thing, because my grandchild came to me and says, grandpa. So that is called, one point of view is made principal. That's called partial point of view. Comprehensive knowledge is to know my entity from all the different angles, and it could be infinite angles. This is the regular example we give. Now we come to the example of from the soul's perspective. To know the soul from all the different angles, that what is a soul's anatomy? What's a soul's physiology? Soul is made up of substance. Then there are infinite attributes are there. Each attribute has its own modification, means paryay, occurring at every samay, every moment. And the soul substance is independent. So are the attributes independent, and so are the modes independent. And this independence is so much that soul is able to withstand its own existence without taking support of any other entity in the universe. All those things, when I know it, that's called comprehensive knowledge. That's called praman gnan. If you go to the Pravachan stanza 93 to 125, there is extreme detailed explanation given about the soul structure and function. Gurudev Sri Kanji Swami has given lectures, and those discourses are written word to word, and I can assure you there are more than 1,000 pages of those things, from 93 stanza to 125 stanza, tells me exactly what the soul is made up of, what's the function of the soul, what's the structure of the soul. That's called praman gnan, comprehensive knowledge. Out of which now we are taking partial point of view. We make one point as a principal, and rest of the things we make it as a secondary. How? For example, in a stanza 6, stanza 7, all those two stanzas, we just said, I know the whole structure of the soul, but my aim has to be eternal, true nature of the soul substance. That is my bull's eye. I have to know everything else. I have to know about the soul as a substance, infinite attribute, and infinite modes, and all those things I know it. But my bull's eye, what is my most important thing, is the eternal true nature of the permanent souls. So that's called partial point of view. So I have to know the comprehensive knowledge to start with, and then after knowing the comprehensive knowledge, I have to make one partial point of view, which is most important for my progress, and that's called Naya. So this Naya can be, this partial point of views can be divided into two parts. They are divided into Adhyatma Naya and they are divided into Agam Naya. Adhyatma Naya means partial point of view, PPOV. We will be using those words time to time because sometimes a limitation of the space on the slide. So partial point of view belong to the soul substance. Remember, we are talking partial point of view. We are not talking comprehensive knowledge right now. We are talking partial point of view. We'll come to this once we are done with a partial point of view. Then we'll come back to praman gnan, means comprehensive knowledge. But right now we are going to concentrate on partial point of view because our stanza 11th rests solely on partial point of view only. So partial point of view can be divided into two parts, Agamnai and Adhyatmani. Partial point of view belonging to scriptures. and partial point of view belonging to soul substance. Agam nahi. Partial point of view belonging to scripture means it knows all the substances of the universe. It knows the matter, it knows the soul, it knows the medium of motion, medium of rest, space and time. Agam nahi gives the knowledge about Atma, Pudgal, Dharmastika, Adharmastika, Akash and Kal. And so it gives total knowledge for the universe that way. While when we come to Adhyatmane, now it concentrates only on the soul substance. Because the rest of the substances are not important for me compared to the soul substance. So now I have to concentrate on the Adhyatmane or partial point of view belonging to soul substance. So Agamnai can be divided into two parts: substantial point of view and modal point of view, means Dravyarthik Nay and Paryayarthik Nay. Don't worry, I'm going to share the slides with you. So if you don't remember the name, you will have the reference with you when you have your own time to digest on all the things. Dravyarthik Nay and Paryayarthik Nay. Dravyarthik Nay belongs to the substance as a whole. Paryayarthik Nay belongs to the modal point of view. So Dravyarthik Nay belongs to substantial point of view. And Paryayarthik Nay belongs to modal point of view. Coming back to Adhyatma Nay, partial point of view belonging to soul substance, they can be done into two parts. Nishchay Nay and Vyavahar Nay, means absolute point of view and conventional point of view. We are just taking overview right now, and we are going through each and every definition of all these words. Each and every word we are going to dissect as the slides progress. So our the stanza 11 in the Samaysar that Acharya Kunkund Acharya Dev wrote down, and also the Amritchandra Acharya Dev gave a commentary on it. It was, Samaysar was created close to 2000 years back, and it was written on a palm leaf. Palm leaves it was written, and at the time there was no paper or anything. So Acharya Kunkund Dev, he wrote down, he put the palm leaf on a hand, and the needle, he used it, and he just wrote down with those needle, and then left the palm leaf, and then he just started walking away. We were extremely fortunate that somebody collected those things, and they're still preserved in something called a town called Mulbadri, that's called suburb of Mangalore in Karnataka in southern India. If you happen to go there, you should visit that place. It just gives you absolute chill through your spine, because these are the original things that you are going to witness. So in Adhyatmanai, Kunkun Acharya Dev wrote down the whole Samaysar on that basis 2000 years back, and Amritchandra Acharya Dev about 1000 years back wrote the commentary on it. And in last century, Gurudev Sri Kanji Swami expanded this commentary in a huge way for us to know every detail about Samaysar. So 2000 years back, 1000 years back, and last century, and we are very fortunate that we have all those things available to us. So that 11th stanza is solely dependent on Nishchay and Vyavarne. So where is this absolute point of view and conventional point of view comes in this whole hierarchy? That gives us idea that it is coming from this written document, and then it's an interpretation, partial point of view, Adhyatmane, and then absolute point of view and conventional point of view. And again, as I said, we are going to hit these things again and again and again and again. So, repetition won't be a problem because it always strengthens our idea. Because the 5 principles, there are 2 major principles, they're coming in this stanza. So we have to, because this is our backbone, this is our base of our building. Our spiritual building will stand very tightly on these 5 principles, out of which we are tackling these 2 principles at this point. Okay. Having said that, let's go a little bit detailed and just say what is absolute point of view and partial point of view. Number 1, complete comprehensive knowledge, as we said, that is called Praman Gnan. And as we say, what is Praman Gnan? As we said, I am known through different angles. Whose uncle, whose son, whose nephew, whose father, or all kind of whose grandpa, whose grandchild, all those different point of view, my identity is known, and that's called complete comprehensive knowledge. Soul is known from all the different facets, from substantial point of view, from infinite attribute point of view, from modal point of view, and all those things. When we know the soul completely from all the angles, what are relationship of the soul with the matter and all the universe and everything, and how the soul's movement occur in the universe, all those complete knowledge, that's called Praman Gnan, comprehensive knowledge. Out of all that thing, one point is made primary and other points are made secondary, is known as Naya partial point of view. Whole thing, you know everything about me. And now I'm sitting in a temple, and you will just say, Kirit is a Jain because he's sitting in a Jain temple. At that time, all my different identities are made secondary. A person knows everything about me, but he makes only one point primary and rest of the things are secondary. If I'm talking about the soul in the form of absolute point of view and just say souls, one has to have total unconditional devotion to the eternal soul substance only. One's faith has to be directed to the eternal soul substance only. That means I have known the whole structure and function of the soul, and out of which I made everything secondary, and I'm making only one, that is an eternal soul substance as a primary. And that's called Naya. That's called partial point of view. Now, this Naya belongs to Sutagnan, and that will come in the next slide. Sutagnan means I have the knowledge can be divided into 5 parts. Perception knowledge, Matignan, scriptural knowledge or sacred knowledge as Sutagnan, clairvoyance knowledge or the Avadhignan, telepathy knowledge or called Manaparyagnan, and omniscience knowledge called Kevalgnan. So knowledge in general can be divided into 5 different subsets, out of which Naya means partial point of view belongs to Sutagnan. Again, we'll be coming to that point. So Naya knows the part of the whole thing. Naya means partial point of view knows partially about the whole thing. That's why it's called partial point of view. It knows about the substance, but then it knows only part of it. I know the soul from absolute perspective, means soul is eternal in nature, soul is a non-doer, soul cannot do anything to anybody else, and all those things to know is called partial point of view. And again, that is known in Sutagnan, and we'll just see why. So soul's knowing mode, soul has a knowledge, and soul is known as an all-knower, has a knowledge attribute, and the knowing mode is called Gnani Parya. Knowledge mode is a Paryay. Attribute is called Gnan Gun, means a knowledge attribute. And the one who possesses the knowledge attribute is called all-knower soul substance. So three parts: all-knower soul substance, knowledge attribute, and knowledge attributes mode. Three things we are taking, out of which action occurs in the knowledge mode. All-knower soul substance and attribute as a knowledge attribute, they are inert. They don't do anything. They are eternally inert. Only action occurs in the knowledge mode. So now, what is happening in the knowing mode? Well, knowing mode has perception knowledge, means Matignan, which knows general only. Matignan knows general. It doesn't make any division. For example, there was a crowd gathered. Well, let's say that, we go to India and there is one, some kind of function going on, and there are thousands of people present. So, if I am the reporter, what will I say? This is the place, there is a function going on and thousands of people are there. That's called general knowledge. That's it. It did not say anything else except saying that there are thousands of people present. That's called perception knowledge, general knowledge, or it is called Matignan. Matignan does not divide into the subsets. It just simply knows generally. It just says, this is the United States of America. That's it. It doesn't say that 50 states are there and that different states have different populations. It doesn't do anything else. It just says, this is a country. Or there's a crowd with thousands of people. That's it. But sacred knowledge or scriptural knowledge or Sutagnan is called specific knowledge. Sutagnan divides, the scriptural knowledge divides the fact gathered from the general knowledge, from perception knowledge, from Matignan. The knowledge acquired through the perception knowledge gets into division of a specific knowledge. In case of a crowd, now it will say there are 40% women present and 60% men present, and out of those things, out of the whole crowd, there are 10% kids are present, and those kids, about the 70% are boys, 30% are girls, and from the crowd perspective, there are so many foreigners are present and so many Indians are present, and in the Indians, there are so many Gujaratis are there, so many Maharashtrians are, all kind of specific divisions to make. That's a job of the Sutagnan. So Sutagnan divides the thing. Matignan means perceptual knowledge, gives general perspective only. So general perspective and specific perspective. So Sutagnan does specific knowledge. Now, us as a human being, how many knowledge we are born with? We are born with perception knowledge and scriptural knowledge or sacred knowledge. Only two knowledges we are born with. Aryan Bhagwan, in our case, we can talk about Mahavir Swami. When he's born with three knowledges: Sutagnan, Matignan, Sutagnan, and Avadhignan. Avadhignan means the knowing of a specific place completely from matter aspect. And that's not our subject right now, but we just have to say he can have three knowledges from the beginning, from the birth. Highly respected saints, some of the extremely knowledgeable saints, not all the saints, very occasional saint can also have telepathy knowledge. He can read our own mind. that what is this person in the other side is thinking about it. That's called telepathy. And last knowledge is called omniscience knowledge, complete knowledge. Complete knowledge means omniscient Lord knows everything about everybody from past, present, and future. Remember, omniscience knowledge means knowledge of complete knowledge, of the comprehensive knowledge, praman gnan of every substances of the universe, their past, present, and future modes including. So, and that knowledge, omniscient knowledge is known in one samay, one moment, fraction of a second. Well, fraction of a second is a puny word. In a blink of an eye, innumerable asankhyat samay pass by. And there is, scripture gives kind of little simile for us to understand that 10 raised to 49 and beyond, that many samay passed by in a blink of an eye. And out of that one samay, one moment, omniscient Lord knows the whole entire universe. He knows his own selves completely, past, present, future, and everything. So that knowledge is a comprehensive knowledge, complete knowledge. There are no divisions of anything at all. So omniscient knowledge has no divisions. The perception knowledge, matignan, has no divisions. Telepathy and clairvoyance knowledge, manaparignan and avdignan, they are not present in us. So my important analytical knowledge occurring in my mind right now as a human being is scriptural knowledge or sacred knowledge or sutagnan. And in that sutagnan, I say this is right for me, this is not right for me. I can make something principal, something secondary, and that is called Naya, partial point of view. So partial point of view is represented only in a sutagnan, means a scriptural knowledge or sacred knowledge, and that is important for us because sutagnan, sacred knowledge, scriptural knowledge, it's a pure at fourth spiritual developmental stage, and the purity keeps on increasing up to 12th spiritual developmental stage. And at 12th stage, when the soul enters in 13th stage, then sacred knowledge just is not important because now there's omniscience knowledge. Omniscience knowledge knows everything from every angle at any given moment. So there's no need to make any divisions or anything else. So, sacred knowledge, sutagnan, is the reason for partial point of view. General knowledge, perception knowledge, smatignan is it doesn't make any division, so it does not help in a matignan, in a partial point of view. So here, omniscient knowledge is complete knowledge, as we say. So when it knows completely with everything, then there is nothing to make any divisions about it. Partial point of view are present in scriptural knowledge. It's only present in this green bullet. So partial point of view is present in a scriptural knowledge only. So Naya is sutagnan no anshe. Naya is sutagnan no anshe because partial point of view makes divisions, and only sacred knowledge or scriptural knowledge has a capacity to make the divisions. And that's why partial point of view is present only in a scriptural knowledge or sacred knowledge or sutagnan. Because what happens in omniscient knowledge, for example, omniscient Lord knows everything about the whole universe, past, present, future, and he has no intention to make any divisions in that. He is merely observer. There's a mirror, and the whole universe gets reflected in the mirror. whole universe get illuminated in the mirror, and this mirror doesn't do anything. It just simply perceives. No divisions, no nothing. That's an omniscience knowledge. Scriptural knowledge or Sutagna will make divisions. So that's why Sutagna, a partial point of view, is present only in sacred knowledge or scriptural knowledge. Now we are coming in. Naya means partial point of view. Okay, we know that part. Now, what is Naya? What is a partial point of view? It's a particular opinion of a knowledgeable person. Particular opinion of a knowledgeable person means જ્ઞાતાનો અભિપ્રાય એને નહીં કહેવામાં આવશે. Who is જ્ઞાતા? Means knowledgeable person. Who is knowledgeable person? Who has realized the nature of the self, who has experienced the nature of the self, who has obtained self-realization, who has obtained samyak darshan. So, any person who is a samyak darshan person, any person who has experienced a soul substance, and now he gives an opinion of something, that is called partial point of view. So right away, the light bulb goes in the brain that partial point of view in a true sense is observed only in the self-realized person. Partial point of view is only present in a fourth spiritual developmental stage. Partial point of view is present only in a person who has experienced the true nature of the self. So, Gnatano Abhipray, particular opinion of the knowledgeable person, is called partial point of view. Now, second thing is, it is expressing partial truth about an object. For example, it's right now sun here, on the East Coast probably sunset probably already right now, but here there's a light right now. And pretty soon sun is going to sunset. Now, the dusk is there. Is it a day or night? If I say it's night, means I am saying it is night because sun is not present. And one of you says, no, it's still a day. Why? Because I can see other person. It's a dusk. So because I can still see without artificial light, lots of other things, that's why it is called day. So do you think that if I say night, am I wrong? Or if you say day, you are wrong? Who is right here? We are expressing particular truth about an object with keeping in mind about partial point of view. So if I'm saying day and you are saying night, we both are right depending on our perspective. Sun is not present, that's why it's night. That is my perspective. And still there's a light and I can see the people around without artificial light. That's why it's day. That's your perspective. Both perspectives are right. And both the perspectives are present in the same substance. Exact opposite views are present. This is day, this is night. That's both are saying the same way. If we both start fighting, glass is half empty or half full. Depends on my viewpoint. My viewpoint is optimistic, so I say glass is half full. Somebody else's viewpoint is pessimistic, so they say glass is half empty. So, partial truth about an object is called partial point of view. Third one, object is known with its comprehensive knowledge, means praman gnan. Naya accepts one part of the comprehensive knowledge. In my case, somebody knows extreme details about me where I was born, how much I have studied, how many were my friends in the high school and college and medical profession and now the retirement, and whose son, whose father, whose grandfather, whose grandchild, all those complete comprehensive knowledge about me. And partial point of view accepts only one part of the comprehensive knowledge and says, I am somebody's son. When my father's perspective is brought in, or I'm the father of my child. When my children are brought in the picture, then I'm the father. Can I be son and father at the same time? Depending on your perspective. So word perspective will come again and again and again in these discussions. Nobody is wrong, nobody is right. Everybody has their own perspective. Child wants to go and drive the car and you just say, no way, Jose, you cannot do that. I won't give you the key. What did I do when I was a teenager and I wanted to have a car and I wanted to steal the car and go for a ride? I did all those things. When my child is doing, now I don't want him to do it. Why? So you have to use his perspective that he's a young teenager. He wants to enjoy. That's his perspective. My perspective, I have seen that in my life that young men can end up with an accident and everything. So I'm talking my perspective. Who is right here? Both are right in their own way. If we understand partial point of view principles, then there is not going to be any fight amongst each other. In my mind, I'm at peace. In my family, I'm at peace. In my society, I'm at peace. And at large, in the universe, I'm at peace, knowing partial point of view. That, okay, everybody has their own perspective. So if somebody says something totally against my belief, do I have to start fighting with them? No, I have to say, okay, I respect your opinion, whatever perspective that is coming from, I respect it. I may not agree. Now there's no fight. Other guy says, okay, that's okay. You have your viewpoint, I have my viewpoint. No fighting, no anxiety, no disturbance of the peace within. So partial point of view is very important to know all these things. Naya is a part of right sacred knowledge, scriptural knowledge, or samyak sutgnan. Samyak means the one who has self-realized himself. Sutgnan means scriptural knowledge. And because this scriptural knowledge has an analytical characteristics, so that's why it's called Naya. So Naya is a part of the right sacred knowledge. So this is Samyak Sutgnan, one who has obtained Samyak Darshan. That is, and his Sutgnan is called right knowledge. He has a perfect Naya. What are we doing here? I don't have Samyak Darshan right now. Why are we discussing all this thing right now? Well, Acharya Bhagwan says, yes, I know that you don't have a Samyak Darshan right now. You don't have self-realization right now. But you are doing study of this Naya. You're doing the study of this partial point of view. And if you know from indirect way about partial point of view, and tomorrow when you obtain self-realization, then all that partial point of view knowledge becomes true knowledge for you. Right now, I have a false belief. I have a mithyatva. And so all my knowledge is called wrong knowledge. It's called agnan. It's called ignorance. But when I get this self-realization, when I get the experiencing of the true nature of the soul, that means I'm on fourth spiritual development stage. And at that time, all my knowledge is called right knowledge. It's called enlightened knowledge. So what we are doing is we are making study We want to know all these things. We gather all the knowledge. We know all the partial point of view and everything. Once I know all the things, then I know who am I, હું કોણ છું, ક્યાંથી થયો છું, સ્વરૂપ છે મારું ખરું. That's what Srimadji said. So this way I know my real nature, and now it leads me to experiencing of the soul substance later on. That means self-realization. Then partial point of view becomes true form. So those are the things that we have to understand. So different definition, looking at the partial point of view from different angles and everything. So a partial point of view knows a part of an object. You know myself only from one perspective. Even though you know all my different perspective, but you're making one perspective as principal, and rest of the perspective you make it secondary. In the soul, when I know the eternal soul substance, Trikali, Dhruv, Atma, then I make that thing as a primary, and I make division of the attributes and modal aspect, everything. I know about it, but I make them secondary. I know they are present, but I just make them secondary because I have my particular point. I'm pointing at it, and that is an eternal true nature of the soul substance. So Naya knows part of the object. Now PPO, a partial point of view, Naya can be divided into several things. We'll be able to go part of the things only, but we'll go as much as we can. Absolute point of view and conventional point of view. Remember, we are talking Adhyatmik Naya. We are not talking Adhyatmik Naya, and we are not talking scriptural Naya. We are talking spiritual Naya right now. Absolute point of view, and let me go back to the division quickly so that way we don't lose the track. Here, now we are talking mainly, our concentration goes on this situation here right now. We'll be concentrating next several slides and all the things. We'll be talking Adhyatmik Naya. We are just making everything as a secondary. Comprehension knowledge secondary, partial point of view Agam Naya secondary, and only Adhyatma Naya means Nishchay and Vyavahar Naya means absolute and partial point of view. That's what we are going to concentrate on it, because that is the heart of the 11th stanza. Once we understand this part very well, then it will be absolute pleasure to know that 11 stanza, and Gurudev Srikanji Swami has done absolutely fantastic job to explain to us mundane soul in a proper way, so that we have a complete knowledge, we have great knowledge, and we know what is important for me and what is not important for me. So we'll be talking a lot more about it. So here we are coming to that slide again. So partial point of view, from is a spiritual point of view, two divisions: absolute point of view, Nishchay Naya; conventional point of view, Vyavahar Naya. What are all these divisions? Well, absolute point of view means to know a thing the way it is. To know, I have a clock in front of me. It shows 22 past 6 p.m. Arizona time. That's an absolute point of view, because it's the way it is, I just know it. This is a cell phone. It's there and I know it. That's it. Simple. This is a pencil. The way it is, I know. I don't see this one as a pen, or I don't see this one as a light bulb or anything. I just say that this is pencil. So it's called absolute point of view. But remember, I'm not interested in the clock or the cell phone or the pencil, because they are material things, matter. I'm the eternal soul substance. I was never been born. I will never die. I'm present since time infinite, and my presence will remain since time infinite in the future. So who am I? હું કોણ છું? ક્યાંથી થયો? સ્વરૂપ. So that thing to know about the soul substance, eternal soul substance. The eternal soul substance, which is a non-doer, it's permanent, it is never changing, it's absolutely there. So that's called absolute point of view. Nishchayani. Now comes conventional point of view, is called Vyavaharne. Conventional point of view is Vyavaharne. In the sense, if I say, bring a glass of water, I tell my grandchild, bring a glass of water. She's going to say, Grandpa, did you lose your brain? Glass is never made up of water. Why do you say glass of water? But even the child, 3-year-old child knows glass of water means a glass which is made up of a glass material or the metal in which there is presence of water. So that's why it's called glass of water. So the water is separate and glass is separate, cup is separate and water is separate, cup is made up of glass and water is present in the cup. Because of water being present in the cup, that is called cup of water. So here I'm doing conventional point of view. Means water is a separate element and the cup is a separate thing, and I mix them both together and says cup of water. Cup is made up of glass and water is made up of H2O. They're two separate entities, but they came in contact with each other and I said cup of water. So that's called conventional point of view. When things which are not true and to speak about it, that's called conventional point of view. Absolute point of view, the way things are. To talk about the way things are, that's called absolute point of view. So, if I want to talk to my grandchild in an absolute point of view, I can say, Ria, go and get me water which is present in a cup, and you bring that cup which contains that water to me. Now, if I'm going to do that one whole time every day, it's not going to, our day-to-day business will not continue. So we use a conventional point. Give me a glass of water. I know myself that the cup of water means cup is glass and water is water, but cup of water means water present in a cup. When I'm talking to the child, 3-year-old child, that child also knows that cup of water means a cup which is made up of glass and having water present, and so grandpa wants that cup of water and she brings that one in. So conventional point of view continues my day-to-day business. For example, if I say, somebody says, who are you? Well, I'm the eternal soul substance going in this transmigration since time infinite, and with a particular type of auspicious karma coming in fruition, I took the birth with this human, and I was given the name Kirit, and that's me. If I say this thing, the other guy is going to put me to a mental hospital, that this guy is lost his marble. He simply asks, who are you? And I give a lecture, and after 10 minutes, I come to the point and say, that's what me is. So conventional point of view helps us to continue day-to-day business for us. An absolute point of view is the speaker knows when he's talking a conventional point of view, he knows what's an absolute point of view. The listener also knows through the convention point of view, he or she knows absolute point of view. I want cup of water, which is a conventional point of view. The child also knows cup of water is conventional point of view. But to me, I have conveyed the point to that child that I want water to drink and bring that water in that glass, cup of glass. So these are the things that we have to know. Partial point of view is absolute point of view and conventional point of view. And now we'll be dividing that one in further great details as the time goes. So right now, I think our time is coming to an end. So we will stop over here. If there's any question, we can entertain.
So Kirit, we are going to focus more on conventional point of view going forward.
Well, actually, we need both. We need both. And so, alone conventional point of view is not going to be helpful. Alone absolute point of view is not going to be helpful. Conventional point of view shows absolute point of view. And absolute point of view says, you know what, I don't care about conventional point of view. Those points will come later on. But we have to have knowledge of both the things. For example, as we progress in Samaysar, it will come that rag, the influence of attachment, rag, belongs to matter, or rag, influence of attachment, belongs to me as a soul. What is right? Well, you have to understand what perspective are used over here. Are you talking from absolute point of view or conventional point of view? And so we have knowledge of both together. And once we finish this kind of things, we will have a pretty good idea where I am, how much knowledge I have, how to discriminate the things, and all those things will become better and better. I know until now we should have taken this one the very first while we are talking the Samaysar, but at the same time, if we just talk, it's complementary to each other, and this is the right place for that subject to discuss. And because we already know some of the things on a conventional point of view, absolute point of view, now we'll know it exactly what they are. And thereafter, when we go further, it will give us a better idea. Yes?
Correct me if I'm wrong. You said that Vyavakatan and Nischay they live in Shrutignan. So they don't exist in Matignan, they don't exist in Audignan.
Yes.
They don't exist anywhere else but Shrutignan. So here's my question. If it only lives in Shrutignan, then why do we spend so much time dwelling on it?
Because right now, my spiritual progress occurring at this point is entirely dependent on Sutagnan only. Of course, it's dependent on the knowledge, but the knowledge, out of 5 knowledges, I don't have omniscience knowledge. I don't have telepathy. I don't have a clairvoyance knowledge. And Matignan is giving me only generalized knowledge of things. It just says, crowd is present, that's it. But who are the people present? How many men, how many women, how many children, how many whites, how many blacks, how many Indians? That one only Sutagnan can do that. So universe is there, Matignan. But universe is made up of 6 universal substances, and out of which I'm the conscious natured soul and everything. So that is called Sutagnan. And through the medium of Sutagnan, I'll be able to go to have the experiencing of the soul. This only.
I understand that. No, that I get. I understand why Shrutagnan is important. I think I once read somewhere that all you need for Atmanubhav is Shrutagnan and Matignan. You don't need the other 2.
Yeah.
But my specific question is, though, I get it. Shuddha is important. But why do so many people dwell on the differences or relative importance or relative unimportance of Vyavahara Katan versus Nischay Katan when both, I mean, you said it in a previous slide, both are fractions of the truth.
Yeah.
Neither is complete truth. So why do we dwell so much on the differences between the two, whether one is more right than the other, if we should just accept that they're both partial and incomplete?
Yeah. See, both are important in their own sphere. Convention point of view, when we come to that point, it will be extremely important. For example, you are driving a car and you have a Tesla car, for example. From absolute point of view, it's a matter, and you are the soul. Even your body is not you, so how come that car could be yours? So from absolute perspective, that car doesn't belong to you. But from conventional perspective, who is paying rent, mortgage, month after month after month? You pay or am I paying it? Because you are paying, so that's why from conventional point of view, car belongs to you, even though car is a matter and you as a soul substance. So this kind of knowledge is essential. For example, I mean, my wife and somebody else's wife, for example. Well, everything is matter, substance, and the souls are different and matter are different and everything. And what difference does it make whether I enjoy that to another girl also or not? So that kind of absolute point of view, bring it in only, then conventional point of view says, no. Your chastity has to be there. You belong to your spouse only. So conventional point of view will help you out. So it becomes a base. You have to go from first floor to the second floor. So you have to go through the stairs, and first step is as much as important as a 14th step. But while you're on the first step, that is important. When you go to the second step, you give up first one. When you go to third, you give up second. So that way, both are extremely, extremely important to know it. And only the way to know, because I have two knowledges with me only, Matignan and Sutignan. So Matignan does not make division. That's why I have to depend on the Sutignan.
Okay, so then you're saying until there's Samyak Shrutnan, we have to worry about these different divisions within Shrutagnan.
Yeah, until I obtain self-realization, these are the exercises we are doing. These are the study we are doing it. And once I know it, remember, even in our state, not having self-experience or samyak darshan, but this knowledge is extremely important because it gives me discrimination that who is a soul substance, who is a non-soul substance.
કિરીટભાઈ, એ જે પૂછે છે એનો જવાબ એવો આપી શકાય ને કે જીનવાણી સમજવા માટે નિશ્ચય નહીં અને વ્યવહાર નહીં બંને જોઈશે.
Yes, because as I said, I was just talking to Kirit today in the afternoon that absolute point of view is self-experience, for example. And self-experience cannot be put into the language. And so for self-experience to be explained, Omniscient Lord or our Gnani Bhagwan, Gnani Purush, Muni Maharaj, they have to use conventional point of view, divisional aspect to explain to us about indivisible, eternal soul substance. So to understand the scripture, to understand from what perspective they are talking, we have to have better knowledge of both the things. Otherwise, we can get confused. And of course, word confusion is very important because if I get confused, means I'm going to look for the way out. And so it's okay to get confused because now I'm going to try to find the way out. So, both the knowledge are very important. The scripture will give conventional perspective and absolute point of view comes from the experience. So both the things are important for us. What am I going to experience if I don't know who am I? So
wait a minute, Kirit, I mean, you said this for a couple of years now that Nishchekatan is more aligned with experience, but I mean, based on today's discussion and today's slides, it seems that experience is the whole enchilada, and Nishchekatan is just an ingredient. So, like, is it really fair to say? I mean, don't you really mean that Samyak Shrutagnan is the whole experience? That's everything, not Nischayna.
yes, and you are so. And as we progress, we'll be making those points. I mean, you are already so many steps ahead, and I'm glad because you are very well read and you have digested all the things. Actually, experiencing is called absolute point of view from one perspective, or the partial point of view telling me the eternal soul substance nature is also called absolute point of view. So which perspective you're talking? Remember, over here, different places we have to use the word perspective. In absolute point of view, we'll be having the 4 divisions will come as the slide progress later on, and it will tell us absolute point of view is not only one thing, but it can be divided into 4 different things also, like impure absolute point of view, partial absolute point of view, complete absolute point of view. All those things will be coming later on. We are just saying very broad division right now, and when we start dwelling inside, when we go deeper and deeper and deeper, it will open up a lot more ideas that what absolute point of view means. Yes, for the beginning of our discussion, it is important that we just say absolute point of view means experience only. But as we progress further, it will give us much more detail about this absolute point of view. Listen. And your thought process is extremely important, very, very nice, really great that at least you are using your analytical brain to say, wait a second, what about this one? So you're already thinking so much just for the 60 minutes we are talking, you already have that thought process going ahead. That's a really great thing. I'm so proud of you. Any other questions? If not, we can do closing. Okay. Javani ke gyan se suje lokalo, sovani mastaka namo sada deta ho. 9 times Namoka mantra. Jai Jinendra.
Thank you.
Hello.